Hello friends, welcome to Code Heaven. So today we are going to continue our React tutorial series, React tutorial for beginners. So last time what we were doing was we were making a to-do application. So in the to-do application, what we did was we made CRUD applications, CRUD related. And we created a to-do list. We made a list of the to-dos. We made update and delete applications. So let's see what we did till last time. npm start. So today we will be adding some more features into that to-do application. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding an API feature. So we'll be using REST API to add these to-do lists into the database. And we'll be using a new technology, a new feature called Airtable. By using the APIs of the Airtable, we'll be adding our to release into the Airtable database. So let's add, let's see how it was going. This one, we can mark it as completed. We can update it to this two, and we can delete it as it's working as expected. But as soon as we refresh this to-do list will go away. See? So to solve this problem, we'll be adding this to database and we'll be using REST APIs to connect our database. So to do that, first, okay, let me open a new terminal and we'll be adding Axios library to use the HTTP to call to the HTTP file. npm install Axios. So it looks like it's installed. Let's see in the package session Axios is there. So its Axios is there. Now let's go to our to-do list component. So at first, what we'll do is, okay, so at first what we need is, we'll need a function to get the to-do list from the database, and all the lists will be displaying these lists by default in here. So as soon as this application opens, we'll be displaying, we'll fetch the data from the database and then we'll display it in the task. So for that, we need to use effect feature of this React. So what the use effect does is, as soon as this application is loaded, this method gets called at first. So use effect. So they will use effect snippet. Let's use that. And in the use effect, so we'll name this part. Let's bring up this snippet. And we'll be calling a function called, like, let's say get to-dos. Okay. And so it doesn't have any dependency at the moment, so no dependency. Get to-dos, and then we'll create this method to make an arrow function, and it will be an async function. So it's, since it's an API, so we'll need to use try catch if there's any errors in API calling. It could be the errors could be like network errors. If there's no network, then we need to inform users that there is no network. So for that, we need this try catch. But now let's just console log this error, and then let's say once the data is equal to await x years dot get, and then we need to put the HTTP and URL. So when you put this URL here, but we don't have the URL at the moment. So for this URL, we need to go to Airtable. So let's go to Airtable. That's all right. Let's go to Airtable. This is airtable.com. You go there and you sign in. You can also sign up for free since I already have that. I don't need to do that. And then once you log in, you can log in by Google also, I guess. So once you log in, so these are the tables I have. So for example, let's go to the movies table. So so they call this table as base, and in this, so these are the column inside this movies database: title, description, image, year. So what you can do is you can create a new base. Just like this, table 1. Rename the table. You can call this as, for example, to do. Since I already have a to-do database, I'll make this as to-dos, and then your let's name nodes assigning status. Yeah, so pretty, yeah, we need this name, but we don't need this node, so let's delete this field. Signing, we don't need this one as well. So instead of status, let's call this as, let's edit this field and call this completed. Name. So these fields are case sensitive as well. Since in our application, we're making it a small letter. So we'll use that small letter convention. To our task, we go to our form. We are using this name and completed. Okay. The name completed is there. After we create this, and this completed should be, we need to change the data type of this completed. Edit field and select single. Yeah, it should be checkbox type. Okay, it's checkbox. And another thing is, so once we make this table, we need to, so this is our to-dos. Inside to-do, we put these fields, name and completed. Right? After that, we can directly add something like this, and then we can mark, we can just add data in here, and then we can use, if we go to untitled this, so yeah, we need to title this place as well. Let's call this use as well. Try to use space, we've got to do table. Okay. Let's go back. So this was the base that I created for to do base to do's table, set to do's table, and name and complete it. So once you create that, then you will have to go to some developer page. So once you have made your base and your tables, then you need to go to this developer hub and create a token to access your this application. So you can create a new token and add scope and add base. In scope, we can add records read and write as well. Read, write, so whatever that is in here, read and write. That should be enough. And you will have to add a base as well. Base would be this one. And name of token would be tools with token. So this is the token that's created. So you need to copy this one. And then once you create this one, so it will come over here. See, now you can go to the documentation on how you can access this API. So go to table, so this list. So this is the API. So this is the URL. So this would be same pretty much for everyone. https api.airtable.com/p0. This is the same here. I have to provide the base ID and table ID or name. In Postman, in authorization, you will have to name bearer and then your token, the token that we just created. We have already copied that. So once you do that and you press get, then this data will come. I'll show you how I've done in the Postman. So these are the lists that I've already created. You can create a to-do, right? You can make a get, select get here, and api.airtable.com/p0. This will be same, and this is the base ID, a name, and this is the name of the table. So if you go to our database here, so this is the base ID, and this is the table name. See, base ID and table name. once you add that base ID here, add table and to-dos. And yeah, you for table name you can add ID or the name of the table to-dos both. Okay. And then once you do that, you can just send request here, and this data will come. So these data is coming as like, so it's giving us a array of records. Inside records there is ID, this unique ID of the item create time. And inside fields there's, so this data is a bit different, so we'll have to modify this data into our application to add into our like state. So currently in our state we're just adding name and completed, right? But here we need, but the name is coming inside fields and inside records, so we'll need to modify this one. So, and in headers you will have to put this authorization as well, authorization, and then bearer and the token as well. You will have to add this one. Okay. So once this is done, then we go to our code. Inside to-do list, and here inside use abstract get to-dos, here we'll add the URL as provided. So we can add this URL here, copy this from here, and then add that URL in there. So one more thing that I want to show you guys is, if you go to this web API documentation, here you can also find these SDKs. There's API client for JavaScript, that's Airtable.js. For .NET, there is Airtable.net, and for Python and Ruby as well. So you can download these as well, and then use these SDKs as well. For now, we'll just be using Axios. And if you come below, you can also see your project, and this documentation will show you based on this one. So this is the to-do that I have made. So if you go below here, you can see these API clients here, showing how we can do like authorization, authentication. For authentication, like showing this call and JavaScript example. So if you download this Airtable JS, Airtable client, then we can use by consume this application API by using these settings, but we will not be downloading this Airtable client. So we'll be using this method, this in authorization, and then bearer will be using this one. Let's see how we can get list. So you can see how we can get list create. So let's go to list, and so we can just copy the URL from here as well. So this limit of limiting the records, we can use this one as well, but for now we'll just be copying this part. Just copy this part and put this in your code, and then the authorization. Yeah. So comma, let's create a new object with headers, In headers we'll need is make a new headers object, and here we'll put this authorization, and inside authorization we'll be putting bearer, and then our token, the token that we created before, it should be added here. Once we added this one, yeah, that's it. So this will call our API. And then once we call this API, we need to call our set tasks method, and inside data. So what it's returning is inside data we records, right? So our data format is a bit changed. So we need to add inside data dot records to our so instead task. In this state we're adding the records inside data. So once we change this, we need to change all our we need to change our map function as well, since it's changed now. Our data format is changed now, so we need to change that one as well. Now let's go to our map function. Inside to do task. So before we're sending this index, but now inside task we'll get ID as well. So we'll send task.id before here. So this inside the request there's ID as well. So we need to send that ID and name it inside fields. Let's go to do. The task is here, and inside task, the inside task there's fields as well, right? Inside fields there's name here, and this should be completed as well. Let's see why isn't this completed coming. It's probably because this is this one. Oops. So let's go to the main database. Inside to do, there's one completed. Let's mark it as completed. Now let's see. Now completed is coming. When it's false, so this data is not coming. Okay, let's see. So inside this fields, we've got completed, and task.name is also inside fields. Right. Let's copy this fields part and then add it in any place that it's used that field. Yeah, sending index. Yeah, it's the task here index. Okay, that's pretty much fine for now. This index would be the ID, so it's fine. Yeah. Okay, now let's look. It looks okay. You want this, so let's run our application. Okay, saying there is one error, use effect. Line number 19. Let's go there. Line number 19. Use effect. What's the error? Line use effect is not defined. Oh, we will have to import this use effect before we use it. Let's press Ctrl and space bar if it's this. Oops. Delete. Okay, now it's auto imported. Now it's working. Now let's see if our app is working. It's not working. Let's see if there's any. It's saying candidate properties of undefined. To do line number 9. Tasks that fields not completed. So it looks like it's not finding this fields field. Let's go to network. Let's refresh. Looks like the API call is not okay. So it's calling the API. And the records is also coming. This should be fine. The records is coming as expected. But for some reason, it's saying to do inside completed, undefined or completed. The fields. Let's see fields is there or not. Inside records, there is fields, right? Probably it's a typo, something. Let's put this side by side. And inside to do, we need to go to Google and it's saying fields inside task. There's fields. And inside fields there is name and completed. Completed is there. And oh, so we are taking completed from task in here. So we can, it looks like we can directly put completed here. No, there was some change. See not working. And read name. So there is a name as well. Task appeals. What we can do is let's debug. Let's put let's see what data is coming inside task. Get to tools. Set task. Okay, let's console log. Tasks. So this task looks like this task is coming as empty. Yep, so that's the issue. Let's console log this data.records as well. Now, okay, here I see records is coming, but it's not getting set into the it's not getting set into the tasks. So this is our issue. Let's see what's wrong. Uh, oh, this is it's expecting an array, but looks like how is this an array? Let's see what what kind of data is this? It's an array. It looks like array. So it's pretty much fine. It's probably okay, but before that, records is an object. See, and inside object there is array. So let's but what we are doing is tasks, but the records, but we are setting just the records part, right? Data dot records, and this records is array. So this will be fine. Use state tasks, set tasks, and use state. So what's wrong here? It could be some typos since this data is coming, but it's not getting set. Let's just copy paste this one and let's see. Okay, now this studio is coming and this task is also coming. It's looking good, but as you can see, this name is not coming. That because I just did. Okay. Task dot completed task dot I just undid that one. Okay. It should come now. Oops. It's saying undefined name. Line number 9. Undefined name. Probably it's this fields inside task. Inside this task. It's not getting this fields. So this could be a typo too. Fields. Inside fields, this would be name. Let's put this. This looks inside task. There's fields. Inside fields, there's name. Okay. Looks again. The error is still not gone. Let's refresh this once again. Let's records task inside task. Okay. Reactive script mode. Set data dot records. This data is not showing at the moment. Let's okay again it's coming as not. For some reason my React state is creating now. And task. This data is coming. Let's go this debugger. Oh, now I found the reason of that issue. The issue was in this task I was sending ID. Actually, I should send task, and in this index I should be sending task, not ID. It should work now. Okay. As you can see, this awesome is coming now. So it's working. Now, suppose if you add some more fields here, like test, then that should come here. The test is also coming. So it's pretty fast. Since I'm using this dependency, actually what I'm doing is I've used these tasks as dependency in here. Once you use this as dependency, this use effect will keep on calling. So as you can see here, this effect is calling again and again. And if you don't want that behavior, then just put this empty and it will not call. So now if you add something in here, yes, 2, then it will not come by default. See, but once if you refresh this, then it should come. See, so it's up to you if you want to use this test task as dependency or not. Okay, now we have added this. If our REST API is working, now let's add this add feature as well. Now, previously in our add feature, whatever that's in the form, we would set that in the state directly. But now we would not set that in the state, but we will send this by REST API and with the Airtable database. So to add the add task feature, we'll have to change the code in here. Previously, we were just adding the task in our task state, but this time we'll add that directly to our database. So for that, we'll have to add the REST API calls in here. So before that, let's jump into our Airtable database. Let's see what are the requirements for our to-dos application. So name and completed. Let's go to Developer Hub. So let's go to Web API documentation and to-dos. So here, if you go below and go to create records, we can see on here we can see curl, and we can see that so this is the endpoint that we will have to use. And if you go to Postman, and Airtable to do. So you can make a new folder just like this here. For post, you can just copy that endpoint from here. Just copy this endpoint, and to test, you can just put this over here. And then if you in here just make this as post, put the authorization, put authorization in authorization bearer and the token, and in body you'll have to put like this. Here go to raw, make it JSON, and make an object of records, and inside records there will be array. Array will have fields, name and completed, fields, name and completed. If you send this should create a new record. So it says 403 forbidden, invalid permission, or the request model was not found. Maybe the token is wrong. Authorizing bearer with token and to-dos. So I'll have to put my token in here. So I've saved my token somewhere and I will use that token. So now I've changed my token and the data is coming as expected. So data comes as an object of records, but we also have an array. That array will give us ID as well. ID, create time, and fields. So we'll have to use this now. Now REST API. Inside add task. So we'll just send these parts instead of set task. We'll be using our Axios post to point to that URL. Okay. To do deletes. Let's use uh, let's remove these and let's use try and catch inside the log error and let's await Axios dot post and then let's copy this URL link and paste it in here and here we'll have to pass in the object. So we'll have to create object something similar to the body in here. So we'll have to create the object of records which contains array of fields, name and completed. Okay. So for that, let's make an object of records, an object. Okay. and will contain records of array, and this array should have fields. Fields will contain our form data. Yeah. So whatever we have typed in that form data, it will come from this use state set form data. So whenever we set form data, so we'll have to send this set data inside these fields, but as the records object. So we'll pass these records in here, and then we'll also have to pass authorization as headers. So headers, and inside headers we will make our we have already done this part above get tools. Yeah, same this part. Let's copy this code. Yep, that's it. This issue here, and this would be inside. This would be inside an object like this. It should be a sync in here. Okay. Now, as soon as this API is called, it will add a new. So it will add a new to-do list in the database. And if there's some error, we'll log that error. Or otherwise, if there's no error, then we'll assume that it's succeeded. So once it's succeeded, we'll have to clear clear our form data. For that, we call this set form data state, and inside we'll put the set form data name as an empty value. After that, we'll call this our get to dos method so that we get the latest data from the database. And yeah, this is pretty much it at task. So let's go to our React application. Okay, so now it looks like let's I don't think it's possible to do it now. Since our state is complete sense, but I think we should be able to add a new data. Let's add test4. Let's inspect in the network. Let's add test4. It has a okay, it has come up here now. Let's see. So at first it's doing post, and post is giving us some records back, and test2 then we are getting the on the list, latest list, and then we have updated it. So looks like our ad is working. Now let's update our like set to do edit and delete as well. Yeah. Now let's work on our update task. So for update task also, if we go to the documentation in update offshot, we'll have to use this patch 1, and inside patch we'll set token, and then we have to send object as records. just like before. So let's do that part as well. Let's go to our update task. So I think we can reuse this code from here. Let's copy this part from here up to here. Actually, let's copy it up to here. And okay, let's move. Okay, so we don't have to use, so we'll no longer need these codes. Yeah, but yeah, and yeah, let's move up to here and paste the above code. Let's make this async. So our records, but in here, I think we'll need to send in the ID as well, ID and fields. Okay, so to update this, we'll need to send the ID as well. So let's put ID as well, ID, and the ID would be task ID. So this is the task ID. So whenever we select one of the tasks, so that task will ID would come over here by the say task ID method. And that task ID will send that task ID from here. And here instead of who post, we should use put, and records here are same. Yes, okay. And then select from data. Yeah, here the from data. Then we again call the get to dos method to get the latest to dos, and set editing will set editing is equal to false. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Should work now. Let's update. So let's make this test. Update test. Oh, there's some mistake here. Let's see what's the mistake. How come it is changing a control input to be uncontrolled? Okay, let's remove this. So looks like there's some issue in here. Let's try to fix that issue. Maybe false in here. So as soon as you click this edit button, let's see what's happening inside this. Click edit button. So this handle input should be triggered. So let's go to do, and here we have got this edit button. So as soon as we click this edit, it calls this get single to do. That's fine. Yeah. So when you call this get single to do, it will set name of task.name and completed false. Okay. But the problem here is inside task we don't have name actually, because name is inside these fields, you see. So we'll have to put these fields here. Dot file these fields. dot name. Manually it will set the form data. Okay, let's see if it's working now. Let's edit this top one. Okay, now it's coming. Awesome. Now action ads. Let's make this awesome to awesome one and update. Okay, it looks like there's probably some error here because this awesome is not getting updated to awesome one. Let's refresh this. No, what about the, let's check what's happening to the, make this to awesome and update the, okay, looks like there's some error. Says 422 invalid records. You got an array of up to 10. Okay. Will save value. Let's see what's the issue here. Okay. 422 and invalid records. Invalid record means let's see. Oh, so ID is going at 0 here. Since that's why it's invalid record. So for some reason our ID is getting at 0. So yeah, so if you look at this get single to in set task ID, we are passing the index of task, and the index of task is going as 0. That's probably because it's in the top of the index. So instead of sending the index, we'll need to send the ID. So this time we need to send tasks dot ID. Okay. Now let's do that once again. Let's update this and one. Now looks like the post put is success, and it's also given us record and it's updated to awesome mode. And that's awesome. Our update functionality is also working now. Now let's work in this one to make this completed. Okay, good. Now let's work on the set to complete method. And for that, what we'll have, it's similar to put method, but we'll need to make this completed field as true in here. For that, let's, so we will no longer need this on map function. So let's remove this part. And I guess we'll let's remove this part as well. So here, since it's similar to our update, let's reuse the function from update from here till here. Okay, let's copy that code and in here here we don't have our form data. We'll not send this form data, but instead we'll have to change a new form data. Name would be the name inside task dot fields dot name, and completed would be true. Let's make this completed with true. Then we'll send this data in here. Okay. And access put and these are same. And then we need to call the get to this function as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So once we call this method, it should update the ID of this task ID to the new ID and say mark this as completed. So there is one error in here. Line 107, task is not defined. This task is not defined. Insert to complete. Oh, ID. Since we're getting an ID, but since we need name, you will instead to complete. Let's send all task instead of just ID. The situation has changed. Set to complete. Now we're sending task, right? From set to complete, we're sending whole task. But here, I guess I'll change this later on. Here, now instead of ID, let's make this as task as well. So there is no confusion. Yeah. Okay, let's try this now. Let's make this awesome to complete it. Okay, now it's working. It's marked as completed. Let's try this test as well. So yeah, it got updated. Okay, let's try this on test. It looks like it didn't get updated. Let's try it on test 3. No. Okay, so looks like there is some issue here. Let's try to debug it. Let's clear all of these and let's try this and test once again. Okay. Too many records in here. Well, let's go to network. Since boot is successful, it's completed is true. It's going as completed true. That's correct. And the response here is also true. Completed true, but for some reason it's not marked as the underline is not line through is not coming. Okay. Let's check our database first. Let's this one to do it. Yes. Okay, go to my bases and inside to do. Okay. I think this is the wrong one. It's probably this one to do. Yeah. So for this, it's not marked as completed. Well, let's delete all these for now. The option to delete it. Delete all selected records. Okay. Now refresh this. add test one. Okay, this one is come now. Now let's mark this as completed. Okay, now it looks like there is some error here. It's saying invalid records. Let's go to payload. Okay, so ID is going as now here. So what's happening is, I think the ID is going now because I'm using the same task ID that we use when we use this task, this one. Then our ID comes from here. But if you don't press this edit button, this set test ID, this method is not getting triggered. So we'll need to bring in this task ID set to complete. Okay, so instead of this, so this task ID should come from task. In task, we already have that task ID. Okay. Now let's do that once again. Let's okay, now it's marked as true. See, now ID is going. So the ID should be inside. ID is inside this task. Okay, that was the issue. Let's refresh this one once again. Let's make a new task test2, add, and then without pressing this edit button, we will need to get the test ID. Now let's press this set to complete. Okay, now it's done. Now it's working, guys. Now let's work on the last one, delete one. Okay. Now let's go to our delete function. Where is our delete? Add, get to do's, add task, update task, delete to do. Okay. So inside delete, what we'll have to do is we'll need to call this REST API. Let's go to our documentation and delete records. So it's a delete method and then the same link. But inside, so this is a bit different, you see. And inside data URL in code, we'll have to send records array and then ID of the record like this. And the response will come as like this. So we need to make a different kind of object here. So let's update our method. So yeah, we won't be using this one. So let's delete this one. Let's reuse this part. Let's copy this part. Add it in here. Let's make this async. And instead of put, let's make it a delete. And instead of these records, so we won't be using these records here. Delete this. Headers. After headers, we need to send some params. So params, let's put as records and ID. Yeah, the same ID. Since as we can see, there are some params with records array and then ID. So this is how we send that object, and then after we delete it, we can just get the latest to use. Okay, now let's do the app. Let's try to delete this too. No, yeah, and it's deleted. Let's try to update this one. Let's make it just test. And yeah, it's done. Let's mark it as completed. Stuff. So it's working now, guys. So our to-do list is completed, and where we have used two different approaches here. Just one just to update our local state, and another by updating our actual database. And for database, we have used our Airtable API. Okay. So we have done this by these two methods. In the real world application, you would probably not use an Airtable database, but the client functionality in the React side, you would probably use the same way to consume these APIs by using Axios. You can also use, if you don't want to use Axios, you can also use the built-in Fetch API of JavaScript. You can do that REST API calls from Fetch APIs as well. Okay. So that's pretty much it for this React tutorial for beginners. In the next lesson, we would probably use any backend like C# backend to make a REST API, or Node.js backend to make the REST API. And this Airtable approach is an easier way so that we don't need to make any backends to update the database, because Airtable API handles those backend stuff for us just to make our life easier. So this much for today in this reactive tutorial for beginners. Thank you guys. Hope you have learned something from this lesson. And if you like my approach of teaching, you can please follow my channel and click that button. Okay, click that subscribe button. And that will help me like motivate to make even more videos like this. Thank you everyone, and bye till the next video.